as we enter into this new era, we realize that single sig Bitcoin hardware is somewhat. We just saw a huge exploit, right? And so, what's next? What steps do we take? And the words of this moment are multi-vendor, multi-sig, and you guys at Casa have been doing that for many years now. What are the benefits of multi-vendor, multi-sig, and when did you guys decide that that was the way to go forward?
Well, we started building this at Casa in 2018. So we've been doing it for 8 years now. And multi-vendor, multi-sig was like, maybe we didn't talk about it with those exact words, but that was what it was from the beginning. We've always had within your multi-sig, we've always had like at least 2 different types of hardware wallets that make up the keys. And then you've got your phone involved, and then you've got a key that's held by Casa involved. And so it becomes, many layers of different types of devices that have to fail at the same time in order to lose your assets. And so this is the whole, I feel like this is the thing with multisig that just people need to think about it. The simplest way to think about it is just adding layers of security where all of them have to fail at the same time in order for you to lose something. And when you say multi-vendor, multi-sig, it sounds kind of complicated and people are like, whoa, that's maybe over my head. And it really doesn't have to be. I mean, you can have this very simply by taking one Trezor and connecting it to Casa in a 2 of 3 multi-sig. And then that gives you a key on your phone, a key on the Trezor, and a key held by Casa. So if you were already using a Trezor as a single sig wallet, you can significantly improve your security by just connecting it to multisig without needing to manage all these extra wallets. Because I think when people think about this, they're often hearing about it from the same kind of X space influencer crowd, which is like, okay, go buy one of these hardware wallets, one of these hardware wallets, one of these hardware wallets, and then connect them all in Sparrow and or Electrum and do all these things. It just feels like a lot. And it doesn't have to be that way. And even to not show only Casa's book, there's other companies that do a great job of helping you set this up. BitKey's good, Unchained is good. So there's other people that have been doing this for a long time along with us, and you can kind of see which product has the right set of trade-offs for you.
I think one other important point to bring up is that I think common pushback that you get is, why would I need to involve, yet another company in my setup when I can do this all myself? And to be clear, you can, and you always have been able to, before any of these multi-sig coordinator companies existed, you could go get an Electrum wallet and create multi-sig, or you even you could use command line Bitcoin Core to create multi-sig. It's always been possible, I think since 2012, 2013 at the protocol level to do multi-sig. But I think the problem with doing self-custody, really the problem with architecting a custody solution is that, as Jan has also said, there are footguns. And so once again, you always have the freedom to do whatever you want within the confines of the protocol. But if you are not a really, really deep technical expert and security nerd, the problem that you're going to run into is kind of, in a way, the same problem that CoinKite ran into, which is, as I said earlier, the strength of any given system, open source or otherwise, is going to be correlated to how many eyes are on it, how many people are using it, how many people are trying to attack it, how many people are defending it. And so when you're architecting a custody solution just for yourself and nobody else is looking at it, it's just a lot more likely that you make a mistake. We are all humans. We're all fallible. We all make mistakes as individuals. We all make mistakes as organizations. And I think that that's like one of the primary things that these companies, these multi-sig coordinator companies are trying to do, is they're trying to say, look, we understand everybody makes mistakes. How can we orchestrate a system that tolerates mistakes rather than allowing a single mistake to result in catastrophic failure?
And Lopp, another question for you. There's been a lot of people talking about, how do exchanges generate keys? How does Casa generate a key for a user? Does it look like a hardware wallet, or do you guys have a completely different process?
Yeah, I mean, in general, we don't know, right? Very few custody companies, I can't really think of any off the top of my head, disclose the like inner operational details of how they do their own key management. Now, for the past 8 years, I've been on the advisory committee for the cryptocurrency security standard. And that is essentially an organization that does nothing other than try to codify every single best practice when it comes to key management, from generation to storage to access to rotating keys and offboarding personnel. And to date, I only think maybe 2 or 3 companies have gone through that whole audit process and proved publicly that they follow all of those best practices. Now, I'm sure that many of these other companies do follow many, if not all, of those best practices. It's just we don't have that additional layer of like public attestation that this is the case. So, the short version is you should generally assume the worst. I mean, you should assume the worst even when it comes to Casa. And that's like the entire point of our system, is that even if the Casa key is weak or compromised or whatever, it does not result in loss of your funds.
Well, there you have it. And then I'd love to get Jan's view on multi-vendor, multi-sig. You make the Trezor, but do you think that it is best practices to put multiple wallets together in a multi-sig for security?
This entirely depends on your threat model. I think if you put all your life savings into Bitcoin, then yes, I think you should consider upgrading. I'm not saying Trezor is not safe enough. We make it safe enough for everyone, but there is a level of trust, as we talked about. So I think for any people like that who trust Bitcoin to the amount that they put substantial amount of money into it, then it is on the table for them to consider a more robust solution. Another thing they can do is perhaps diversify from Bitcoin a little bit. I think this is controversial, but I wouldn't recommend to anyone to be 100% in Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoiner. I love Bitcoin. I think it's the best asset. But I wouldn't sleep well if I relied on Bitcoin. Even if I had multisig, Bitcoin itself, something can happen to the protocol. So perhaps think about diversifying between vendors, but also between assets.
Wait, you're telling me I can win free Bitcoin every day just by dropping a chip? Check out Sats Drop from Rhino. You get 3 free drops every day with chances to win up to 10,000 sats instantly. And if a super drop activates, we're talking bonus drops, multipliers, and jackpots of up to 100,000 sats redeemed right in your Rhino wallet. Sign up for free now and start stacking sats.
Just go buy some NVIDIA.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I mean, this whole process leaves us with a lot of questions. And you guys think about self-custody all day, every day. Where does this leave us? What's next? How do we pitch to the average person that they should self-custody Bitcoin after an event like this? Let's take it, Nick.
I think that I've been thinking about this a lot because obviously we are trying to build a business around self-custody, right? And so I think that, as I said at the beginning of the call, the naive kind of maybe like easy take or conclusion to make is like, oh, this is hugely terrible for self-custody. It shows that the average person can't do self-custody. They should just keep it at a custodian or an exchange. And I think that's the wrong conclusion, because if you think about this, what actually happened? The community trusted people that they thought were experts to write code that was secure. At an exchange, if you're keeping your assets with Coinbase or whoever else, you are trusting people that you think are experts to write code that is secure. If you're trusting, like if you're using Trezor, same thing. And so a lot of the, like if this was a scenario where, oh, we had this mass event where people were giving up their seed phrases, or they were, getting tricked or wrench attacked or whatever, and on this hugely massive scale, that was something unique to self-custody. Maybe that's a little bit different. But in this scenario, it's just the makers of a product that we trusted made a mistake, and that resulted in a lot of people losing money. And that has happened many times over the years that Bitcoin has existed for other types of custody setups, especially in custodians. And so what I think is interesting, and maybe the like very small white pill in this whole scenario, is that if this type of vulnerability had happened at a custodian, a ton of Bitcoin would just be gone in the snap of your fingers, because they're getting access to a wallet that, maybe the exchange uses a couple of different cold wallets, but many more customers' assets are centralized in one wallet in that scenario. And so if you have that type of vulnerability, then it can all be swept very easily. Whereas in this scenario, it was many different wallets, and the attackers had to go one by one, cracking each wallet and then sweeping the assets out of it. And so that actually gave time for people who were going to be stolen from it, gave them time to move their assets to safety. That's a huge benefit of self-custody, because it's this defense through distribution in the Bitcoin network, and it just increases the resilience of Bitcoin as a protocol and as an asset overall when you have more people who are self-custodying, because the catastrophic events like this just can't be carried out as efficiently as they would if everything was sitting in a custodian. And so to me, that's the argument for why more and more people should be doing self-custody.
I think that's a great point. And Jameson, what do you think? What about the pitch of self-custody now to regular people?
So I think that trying to just orange pill the average person and say, you need to take on this responsibility is going about it the wrong way. And that's probably how you end up with this situation where we saw a lot of people who didn't even know how to use their cold cards, because they just did what they were told. They bought a cold card, they put the money on it, and they forgot about it. So if I could wax philosophical a bit, I think the quote that really drives me when it comes to just this entire space and trying to tell people what to do is this quote that goes like this: if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. And so I think the point there is that we shouldn't just be telling people what to do. We should be teaching them to long for the level of freedom and sovereignty that this protocol and network promises. But by promise, I mean offers the potential of, because as we've basically been saying this entire time, you have to be willing to take on the responsibility that comes with that if you want to actually be able to take advantage of it and sleep at night.
Yeah, that's a great point. That the most important thing is that you show people what is possible, right? But don't tell them this is exactly what you have to do, or you're not a real Bitcoiner, right? I think there was a lot of that going on with the cold card, and a lot of people got burned because of it, and it's so sad to see. And Jan, what do you think is the state of self-custody now in 2026 in the light of this attack?
I think the self-custody narrative is shaken, but it survives. Bitcoin survived worse things. And Actually, I think when you think about it, there's no way out of it, because ultimately someone has to hold the keys. So even if you move your coins to an exchange, they still have to hold the keys. And maybe they have a better setup. Maybe they use multisig, but then you can use Casa and you have the same. But when you're on an exchange, you add an extra attack vector, because someone can gain access to the wallet and drain the funds, or someone can get access to your account on the exchange and withdraw the funds. So I don't really see a reason for people to turn to exchanges instead of self-custody in the long run.
Yeah, it's self-custody all the way down. Or in other words, third-party custody is just self-custody with extra steps.
There you go. Yeah, and as we round this out, what about resources? Where should people go to learn more if they're in need, if they're first time hearing about this exploit? What kind of things are there to give people a helping hand in this time? Nick, do you have anything?
Well, I guess to learn about the exploit, I've just been seeing a lot of info from a lot of people on X. So I guess some of the people that you can follow that have been, I think, really that sounded the alarm early are like Kevin from Liana. I think he was the first one to really sound the alarm on this. And then there's Rob Hamilton has been talking about this a lot. But I think as far as like what resources CASA can provide, we're going to be posting kind of an overview later today on our blog, just so people can understand what went down, have a place on the internet that isn't X in the timeline to go. And then, for people who are actively like, hey, I'm on a cold card and I need help moving off of it, we have places on our site you can book calls with our team. Like, we have so many people that we're talking to that I put myself on the calendar. So like, I'm doing calls with people. So it's a very busy time, but we're happy to help people get to better security.
Yeah, and Lopp, I mean, you've got a website with all the resources there.
Yeah, basically every security resource that I've ever come across that I thought was halfway decent is on lopp.net, lopp.net.
There you go. And Jan, if people are in need and want to learn more, do you have any resources or ideas of where they should go?
Okay. When it comes to Trezor, we have our knowledge base on our website where they can learn about entropy in general and our security checks. When it comes to this topic, I've seen a good podcast just yesterday. It was What Bitcoin Did with Rob Hamilton. I like that one. I think it's worth watching.